And my son's here. Calvin and Val came. See, we're going to have our grandchild. March. Yeah. March. You're March, babe. All right. Shannon and Shell are still here. Bobby and Chris showed up. Surprised me. You know this family. And I just told you, as we were in position here, this mystery to Mozambique and to Brazil, are all in line with the mission, sweeping mission of the year, and it's all consistent with what it is that we're about. Our main reason that we are where we are is because Jesus chose to come and to bring us back to inside relationship with Father. He chose to be the Father to us, who He is. In His last days on earth, He was talking to His disciples, and they were really perplexed, and they were saying to Him, "No, you talk in parable and in mysterious ways that we really understand." And Jesus said, "I'm going to plainly do. I'm going to clearly do what's going to happen." And seated in telling them that was going to happen by, but that He would abandon them, and that had to happen. Now He spring news on them. Early on, was he hey, come follow me, make you fish of men. They walked with, they matured, they grew, they blew a lot, and make choices along the way. Along the way, these times Jesus did some very difficult teaching. He said, unless you of my body and drink my blood, not my disciples. And so many people scattered and left. And He said, are you going to leave too? And I don't think they understood still. At that, they still understand, but they, where else would go? You, the words, eternal life. Even we don't understand them. We know that the words of eternal life. Toward the last, John chapter 15, his disciple says, last speak to us clearly, not you failed to speak metaphors. Now we understand that you know everything there is to know. You don't need to question you for. And everything taught us convinces that you have come directly from God. Everything you say measures this standard of truth. Truth comes from the word true. In the English language, true, to make it true means to get identical, to make it exact. If I measure a standard inch, there are international and office of standard measures and can tell you precisely what inch is. And if I measure something inch, then I made it true. And just the Father, we had measures. What was it? We could tell Alan to make me a shelf 12 inches long. But if my inch is long, inches is long, we're going to come up with different kinds of sizes. He's not going to know what to do. He's going to make a board like thinks it is, and he's going to be satisfied. This is actually the way it was in these days. Jesus was doing this. They had no idea what true Father was, who true Father was, who God truly is. They had no way of knowing until Jesus. And we hints of it. Recorded in Scripture. David, he knew God, very living, merciful God. We had Abraham, who had very intimate relationship with, who probably had a better idea who God. Moses, who was the burning bush, and then who was, and told him, am. These fathers had a concept about God. They did not have on a daily basis the presence of the Holy Spirit in their lives, convincing us and unveiling this to us. So John, the man that probably the close man on earth, Jesus was walking this earth. He recorded these things. He says, I record this so that you know that you have confidence. Who Jesus was, who you are. You know that you believe in God you love. If you don't know God. You don't know God because stand is there. And if you love, you don't believe God actually has input to you. So we read in verse 7 of John, and this verse up here is SB, but read through from the Passion. Okay, so you may have other versions. You might be reading different versions of the Bible. But in translation, are written the perspective of the translator. To go from one language to another language involves a lot more than just saying the words mean this word. It doesn't work that way. Anybody here who's multiple languages can do difficult of translating. We have these perspectives. Because everybody has perspectives that they prove when they translate. So, chapter 17. This is what Jesus prayed. He looked up to heaven. Father, time has come. Unveil the glorious splendor of the Son, so that I will magnify your glory. He's to this veil, to lift the instead of being burned over. That what he's doing would increase the amount of what is showing. God unveils things to us that harm us. Sometimes we can know much. Sometimes we can know too much because we know what to do with it. Sometimes that's why Jesus probably didn't unveil everything to decide, and for the end, he really let them know it clearly. And you saw different disciples handle it. Some got the sword to hack that head and clipped his ear. But already truth, intuitively knew what was there. He hadn't experienced truth with him. So 2, you've already given me authority over all people so that I give the eternal life to those you have given me. Eternal life means to know and experience you as the only true God. And know and experience Jesus Christ, the Son, have sent. Do you think when you about eternal life, what do you think is eternal life? Is it sitting in a lazy way in heaven and just kick back and relax forever? What is eternal? Eternal life is Jesus means know, experience you as the only true God. You are only true God when I look for who I place trust in, or the only true thing in my life. I glorify on earth, faithfully in everything I've told. So, Mother, restore back to the that we shared together when we were face to face before the use was created. Verse 6, Father, I manifested who you it's key. Father, I have manifested who you really are and have revealed you to the men and women that you gave me. I have made visually, physically, emotionally known who you are. If it's not, this is not. He perfectly revealed the Father. He continues to do through his perfectly revealed Father. And at last, that every have is from you, and the words you gave to speak, pass them to them. They have received your words and carry them in their hearts, are convinced that I have from you present, and they have fully believed that you sent me to represent you. So with love, I pray for my disciples. I'm not acting on behalf of the unbelieving world, but for those who belong to you. Those you have in me, for all belong to me, now belong to you, and all belong to you, now belong to me as well, and glory revealed through surrendered lives. We belong to him, belongs to the Father, all belong to each other. This is unity. You know, it's pretty simple and straightforward when you think about it. Cal and I were this morning, and we were talking about this, and I was thinking of the simplicity of God in some ways, like the rainbow. We've got multiple colors come together and beautifully flow together. You say that this unified, it's unit to it. But is it the same? Red the same, blue, yellow the same, and green. We're very different. Jen and I are different in ways. I so love seeing the strengths of my brother. And we're unified because we know whose we are and who we are. That brings together unity. What Jesus calling, Jesus is right. He thinks so important for us to know. He only has a few chapters in this book that to run what he thinks is essential. Jesus going to pray. 11. Holy Father, I'm to leave the world and to be with you. My disciple remain here. So I ask that by the power of your name, protect each one that you have in me and over them, so that they'll be united as one, as we are one. Was with thee that you have given me, I have them say your name you have given me. Not one of them is lost except one that was meant to be lost. Jude. So that the scriptures will be fulfilled. Now I'm reading to you. Father, I pray that they will experience enter into joyous delight in you, so that it is fulfilled in them and flows. I've given their message, that is why believing hates them. Do you realize that the message of Jesus Doesn't make sense, unbelievable. Doesn't make sense I would do something and not gain something. Doesn't make sense. Makes sense why I would love people in this family. We see so different. Doesn't make sense to people. It doesn't make sense that I would time out my skill, whatever it means, that I would take time just help somebody because they need help. It doesn't make sense outside the world. The logic doesn't make sense. And what happened in the church times, what has happened within the body of Christ, and I think we really need to take to this, is we in the body of Christ have developed our own Mosaic laws, developed our own of things that cause division. Develop things beyond the big gospel tends to pull apart. We need a lot of church bodies. We need a lot of churches. But we all see we are united in the gospel of grace. That we are brothers and sisters. We need to be able to see this. It took a few years from that time for the Pharisees and for developmentism to that 4-year gap between Testament period, where all of this stuff did. This whole system that Jesus said, hey, you put burdens on people that can't bear. This isn't about who they are. This is what you want to be. So we really figure out what it is we want people to be. Do I expect for other people beyond what gospel is? Or am I satisfied through about presenting Jesus Christ and crucified? Paul, in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, he said, when I came, brothers, I'm not proclaiming the testimony of God with law, speech, or wisdom. Remember, Paul was not down on the mass. Saul, he was out some horrible things for church, right? And he was a learned man. He had a ton of knowledge of it. He knew the law in and out. He was so zealous for God. He thought he had it all down. And he could present in such to convince people. Before he had his version, he was convincing people he was the death out of Christians. Afterward, he won, and he debated people after he was a believer. Debated Mars Hill recorded that he was able to convince people by his knowledge, right? But he knew they're God's and true God, and a very actual presentation to people about Jesus. And sometimes we believe in us. There's something in us that says, I don't enough. I have enough knowledge. I don't have enough to present to people. Good I on a mission or in a ministry situation. I'm the pastor. No thanks. I don't have biblical knowledge. Biblical knowledge, fine. He isn't going that down. What he did was he convinced people on this hill, but he convinced you. When he wrote Corinthians, he's writing to the church again, and he's telling them the way that he did himself differently. And what he said was, I didn't to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I was weak and in fear and much trouble, and my speech and my image were not plausible of wisdom, in demonstration of fear and power. Catch this, that faith might not rest wisdom in, but in power of God. Faith doesn't rest on what I know, but it rests on what I know. It doesn't rest on what I know, but rests on what I know. It rests power of God. It's not complicated. If we go back to Jesus' prayer in chapter 17, John, verse 25, the end, he says, you are my precious Father, let the unseen world never known you. Perfect day that I know you. And all those who believe in me also know you have sent. I have revealed to them who you are and will continue to make you more real to them so that they may experience the same end love that you have for me. For love will live in them, even as I live in them. One thing is that I think, and so powerful personally for me talking to people, not just here, like in Brazil in traveling, has been that there's a real profound impact people's lives when you ask questions. When you can ask them what they think. Sometimes we want to be anxious people about we know what the person thinks. I ran into a guy from Africa on a bus in Brazil, and we were talking about God, and he said to me what religion I, and he's speaking pretty bad Portuguese, and I'm speaking bad Portuguese, and don't know French, which he would understand. But we communicated in Google Translate, and we communicated pretty well. And he started to ask my opinion about, do Christians drink alcohol? And do this and do that? And I said, wait. Let's start it. Maybe what do you think Jesus accomplished on the cross? Did he accomplish forgiveness for the world? And you could see this guy thinking, and then something else. Well, just did he accomplish that? And he says, he accomplished forgiveness. That did Jesus on the cross a part job, or did he do a complete job? Did he accomplish his forgiveness totally, or was it partial? And I see this look as I started telling it was late. And we stab what it was that we believed to get. So many times we get distracted by things people want about when it really comes down to basics. And the unity of the body is the thing Jesus prayed for. He prayed we would be able to see the Father as he revealed him. And John, to his dying day, said, "Children, love one another." It says in John, 1 John 3, verse 3, before he says, this is his commandment, that we believe in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, love one another. Remember all the chapter he's saying, you obey his commands, you need to do and something. We know his command. I remember the commandments. I remember this command, that command. And just the chapter saying, and this is command, that we believe in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and love one another. Just he's commanded. Whoever keeps commandments of in God in him. By this we know he abides in us, by the Spirit whom he has given. Which this is as the world, we can't explain the unity and the love within the body have each other. I heard one guy, he looked at me and I just him and he other people I know, and he says, "You guys are marching. You're nice, and all this." And the fact of it is, I figure you out, you Christians. Didn't say that. That's what it was. So I just I want to encourage you. I'll asking just a couple basic questions. When people ask you what hope that within you, you tend to make it overcomplicated or just share the love of God. He ended up I Christ, and I strove of Christ and crucified, and that no. Do I know if he's a believer going to hell? Do I this? And some questions above our pay. They're not within our view. But Jesus, remember, come and judge but to the world. Our Jesus world. We don't go world, the world, but the world. Unity. I agree with that when we are unified. I Jesus. Why don't we? I know that I was thinking of is it that you want a day today. I heard different words. I heard truth. I heard unity. I heard simply. And all of these things round and encapsulated with this word of. We know that we know of you, that we love the world, and we are to see them from yours. You say, Father, for remind us that it's not Jesus, not you. So right now, I just pray within our lives that we would be able to see for who you are, your love, grace in our life, that we can be daily for and increase each other these truths. And it's in His name we pray. Amen. Guys, forward to this week. Okay? Awesome.
Never know. Actually, the chef. Any mais claro?